In the heart of Atlanta, there's a rule that never needed to be written. You protect your own. What happens inside Precinct 7 stays inside Precinct 7. It didn't matter if someone crossed a line or erased it completely. If you wore the E badge, the others would cover for you. That was the code. And for years, it worked. Corrupt officers stayed safe. Good ones kept their heads down. No one talked, until one man did. Malik Johnson wasn't just a good cop. He was the kind of officer folks trusted. Kind, sharp, always first on the scene and last to leave. 8 years on the force and not a single complaint. He had a quiet way of doing his job that made people feel safe. And at home, he was even better. A husband to Tanisha and a dad to little Zuri, who had just turned 3. Every morning he left his house with one goal: come back home with his integrity and his soul intact. That morning felt like any other. The sun was just peeking through the Atlanta skyline as Malik tapped the steering wheel of his patrol car, sipping lukewarm coffee. His partner Derek leaned back in the seat beside him. "You look tired, man," Derek said with a yawn. "Zuri tried to climb out of her crib last night. Tanisha caught her mid-jump." Malik smiled, just thinking about it. "She's ready for a big girl bed, bro," Derek laughed. "No going back now." The lighthearted moment was cut short by the crackle of the radio. Unit 247, domestic disturbance, 1542 Oakwood Drive. Malik's eyes narrowed. That address wasn't just familiar, it was personal. Captain Caldwell's house, one of the top-ranking officers in the whole department. "Dispatch, this is Unit 247, en route." The street was calm when they arrived. No yelling, no damage. Just a clean lawn and a quiet porch. Something felt off. Malik stepped out of the car, hand resting on his holster out of habit. Derek rang the bell. A few tense moments passed before the door creaked open. Captain Caldwell stood there. Shirt wrinkled, eyes bloodshot, hair a mess. Not the sharp man they were used to seeing. "Officers," he said, trying to sound normal. "There's been a misunderstanding. Everything's fine." But Malik smelled it before he saw it. A faint metallic scent. Blood. He looked down. A drop on Caldwell's sleeve. "Sir," Malik said carefully, "we need to check the house." Just standard procedure. Caldwell's jaw tightened, but he stepped aside. Inside, the house was spotless. Too spotless. Family photos lined the walls. Caldwell, his wife, and their son. Smiling. Perfect. Fake. "Upstairs," Derek whispered, pointing to faint water droplets on the floor. The trail led them to the master bathroom. That's where everything changed. The tub was filled halfway. A young woman lay still inside, her dark hair floating in pink-tinged water. Bruises on her neck. Lifeless eyes staring at the ceiling. "Jesus," Derek muttered. "That's Catherine, Ethan's girlfriend." Captain Caldwell stepped in behind them, his voice calm, rehearsed. "She must have slipped. A terrible accident." Malik's eyes scanned the scene. Torn shower curtain, cracked mirror, broken towel rack. Nothing about this was accidental. "We need to call this in," he said, reaching for his radio. "Hold on," Caldwell said, stepping between them. "Let's not jump to conclusions." "Sir," Derek started, but Caldwell cut him off. "Walsh, secure the perimeter. I need a word with Officer Johnson." Derek hesitated, then left. Caldwell turned to Malik. His voice dropped low. "Malik, you're a good cop. Good man. You've got a family, right? A little girl?" Malik's heart thudded. "She's 3, he replied. "Then you understand. One mistake shouldn't ruin a young man's life. My son's getting help. You saw her. Accidents happen." Malik looked straight into the captain's eyes. "There's a dead woman in your bathroom, sir. That's not an accident." Caldwell stepped closer. "You really want to throw everything away for a girl who made a bad choice?" Don't be a hero, Johnson. Heroes don't last long in this job. As the captain walked out, Malik's hands shook slightly, but not with fear, with fury. He pulled out his phone and started taking pictures. The bruises, the blood, the broken glass, because silence wasn't an option anymore. Not this time. Malik didn't sleep that night. He laid in bed next to Tanisha, staring at the ceiling. Her breathing was soft and steady. Zuri was asleep in the next room, probably dreaming of unicorns and playgrounds. But Malik's mind was still in that bathroom, the girl in the tub, the lies in the captain's voice, the pressure in his gut that told him this wasn't over. The next morning, while pouring cereal for Zuri, Malik checked his phone. 3 texts, all from numbers he didn't recognize. Be smart. That wasn't your problem. You've got a family. Think about them. He didn't reply, but his hands trembled as he put the phone down. At work, everything felt different. People greeted him, but their eyes looked past him. Conversations died when he entered the room. His overtime request, usually approved in hours, now sat pending. His locker was jammed. Someone had scratched the words Boy Scout into the side of his name tag. Small things, but they added up. Then came the paperwork. Malik had written a detailed report of what happened at Caldwell's house. He included the photos he took. He submitted it through the proper channels, just like they trained him to, but the report was kicked back 3 times. Once for a missing witness signature that didn't exist, once for a formatting issue. The 3rd time, the section about the bruises on the victim's neck had been removed completely, like it had never been there. He showed Derek. His partner leaned in, read silently, then looked away. Let it go, man, he muttered, barely above a whisper. You're not gonna win this. Win what? Malik asked, voice tight. I just told the truth. That's the problem, Derek replied. You think truth is enough around here. Malik stood up. You scared? Derek didn't answer. That night, Tanisha called him at work. Her voice was shaky. Someone's been sitting outside the house in a dark car. They've been there for hours. When I stepped out, they drove away. Malik's heart dropped. Take Zuri and go to your sister's. Now. The next day, he found his tires slashed. All 4 of them. On Precinct property. The message was clear. Back off, or lose everything. He called Internal Affairs, set a meeting, showed them the pictures, the texts, the history of domestic calls to the captain's son's apartment. He laid it all out. The investigator barely looked at the file. These are serious allegations, the man said, closing the folder. We'll look into it. But his tone was cold, dismissive, like Malik had just dropped off a parking ticket. That night, Malik got a text from an unknown number, no name, just 5 words. You should have stayed quiet. He didn't show Tanisha, didn't want her to worry more than she already was. But that night, as he stood at Zuri's door watching her sleep, something inside him cracked. All he ever wanted was to be a good man, a good husband, a good father, a good cop. But now, being good felt like a threat. Like every step he took toward the truth was pulling him further away from everything he loved. He sat on the edge of the bed and watched his daughter's chest rise and fall. Her tiny hand curled around a stuffed giraffe. Her curls spread across her pillow like a halo. I'm doing this for you, he whispered. The next morning, Malik showed up to the precinct and found his desk had been moved. No explanation, no warning, just relocated to a back corner, right, next to the janitor's closet. Derek wouldn't even make eye contact. He tried to push through it. Keep working, do the job. But things kept happening. His reports were lost. Calls he was supposed to take were rerouted without notice. One night, he got sent to a disturbance call solo, no backup, in a part of town where even 2 units would usually wait for more. He made it out fine. But the message was loud and clear. Next time, you might not. Even at home, the fear crept in. One night, Malik noticed muddy footprints on the back porch. Zuri's swing swaying slightly. Even though there was no wind, Tanisha sat him down. You need to tell me what's really going on. He didn't sugarcoat it. He told her everything. The girl in the tub, Caldwell's threat, the pictures, the silence, the sabotage. Her hands shook, but her voice didn't. Then we stand. We don't back down. If you give in now, what does that teach our daughter? Malik nodded. He didn't say anything, just reached out and held her hand. The next morning, Malik submitted the file to an outside reporter he trusted. A woman who covered police corruption stories. He included everything: photos, logs, domestic call history, even the text messages. Then, he called Internal Affairs again. I'm not going away, he said into the phone. You don't have to believe me, but you'll see, one way or another. Because this time, silence wasn't survival. This time, silence would be surrender. The call came just after sunrise. Malik was still sipping his first coffee when the dispatcher's voice crackled through his patrol radio. Unit 247, report of suspicious activity at the old Bellevue warehouse, corner of Piermont and Eastwood. It was a quiet zone, mostly abandoned buildings, rusted fences, and forgotten sidewalks. Nothing urgent. Sounded routine. Malik responded, 10-4, en route. He glanced at the empty seat beside him. No Derek. His partner had called in sick that morning. First time in 3 years. That should have been the first red flag. But Malik was tired. He just wanted to do the call, file the report, and move on. As he pulled up, the warehouse loomed in the gray morning light. A leftover from Atlanta's industrial past, steel bones and broken windows. The kind of place the city forgot. He parked, stepped out, and scanned the lot. No movement, no signs. Of trouble. But something didn't feel right. His boots crunched against scattered glass as he stepped inside. Atlanta PD, he called out. If anyone's in here, make yourself known. Nothing. Just the echo of his own voice bouncing off rusted beams. The first floor was empty. Dust swirled in the light coming through a cracked skylight. But as he reached the stairwell to the second level, a sharp scent hit his nose. Familiar, coppery. Blood. His stomach sank. At the top of the stairs, near a broken window, a man lay sprawled on the ground. Blood pooled beneath him, dark and thick. Malik moved closer. His breath caught in his throat. He recognized the man. It was Ray Foster, a local informant. Someone Malik had worked with before. The kind of guy who knew the streets better than most cops. Ray was dead. A gun lay just inches from his hand. Malik reached for his radio. Dispatch, I've got... The sound of footsteps behind him made him turn fast. 3 officers entered, 2 unfamiliar, 1 all too familiar, Captain Caldwell. Well, Caldwell said, stepping slowly into the room. Isn't this something? Malik stepped back. I just got here. I haven't touched anything. But the way the others looked at him said it all. They weren't here to help. One of them raised his phone and snapped a picture. Caldwell's voice was low, almost calm. This is tragic. A known informant. Gunshot wound. You... standing over him. No partner. No body cam footage. Your fingerprints. On the weapon. My what? Malik's heart hammered. You'll be charged with second-degree murder, Caldwell continued. You'll lose your badge. And your daughter will grow up thinking her daddy was just another crooked cop. You did this, Malik whispered. Caldwell smiled faintly. I warned you. You don't turn on family. The cuffs clicked around Malik's wrists, cold, tight, final. The booking process felt like a nightmare he couldn't wake from. Mugshots, fingerprints, belongings taken and sealed into plastic bags. His badge, placed in an evidence envelope. Officers he used to laugh with avoided eye contact. Some looked guilty. Most looked afraid. When they walked him through the front of the precinct in cuffs, Tanisha was waiting with Zuri, her hand clenched tightly around their daughters. Zuri looked up, confused. "Daddy," Malik forced a smile. "It's okay, baby. I'll be home soon." But even as he said it, he knew it might be a lie. Tanisha's eyes welled up, but she stayed strong. "I know the truth," she whispered. That night in his cell, Malik stared at the concrete wall and tried to understand how everything had flipped so fast. He thought about Ray, the informant. Why him? Why now? Then it clicked. Ray had once told Malik he had information about the captain's son. He had been scared, hesitant, said he'd talk soon. Then he stopped answering calls. Now he was dead. Malik's head fell into his hands. They were erasing anyone who could speak the truth. And now they had their perfect scapegoat, an honest cop, black, alone, and inconvenient. 3 days passed in jail. His court-appointed lawyer spoke in circles, already suggesting a plea deal. "You won't win this," the man said, not even looking up from his notes. "They've got evidence." "But it's fake," Malik argued. "Planted, fabricated. Ray was already dead when I got there." "Can you prove that?" the lawyer asked flatly. Malik didn't answer, because he couldn't. Not yet. It was late that night when the guard opened his cell door. "You've got a visitor." A young officer stepped in. Nervous, eyes darting to the camera in the corner. He sat across from Malik, pretending to look at a file. "I shouldn't be here," he said, voice low. "But I owed you." It took Malik a second to recognize him. A rookie he'd trained 2 years ago. Always eager, always honest. "There's something wrong with the footage," he whispered. "The timestamps don't match. The body cam file says it was recorded before you even arrived." "Can you prove it?" Malik asked, leaning forward. "Not yet, but I'm working on it, and I'm not the only one who knows something's off." He stood up, voice louder now for the camera. "Good seeing you, Officer Johnson." Then quieter again. "Watch your back. Caldwell has people everywhere, even in here." That night, Malik laid back on the thin mattress and stared at the ceiling. They thought they'd broken him, but they'd made one fatal mistake. They'd taken everything, and now he had nothing left to lose. The air in the jail infirmary was sharp with antiseptic and something worse. Betrayal. Malik lay still, wrapped in bandages, a knife wound just below his ribs from 2 days earlier. It was supposed to look like a random fight, just jail life. But he knew better. They'd sent those 2 men to finish the job, not to scare him, to silence him. The blade had missed anything vital, but it had made one thing clear. If he stayed inside the system, he'd never make it out alive. The nurse finished changing his bandage without a word. Everyone treated him like he was already a ghost. Later that night, Aaliyah came. She wasn't family, but she'd been granted a short visit, in the interest of press coverage. A small win she'd earned by pushing her way through red tape with pure will. She sat beside his bed, pulling a burner phone from her notepad. "I brought you something," she whispered, slipping it under the blanket. Malik stared at it. "You planning something?" she asked, her voice low but steady. He didn't answer, just looked down at the clean white sheets. Then he met her eyes. "They're going after Tanisha and Zuri next. They already followed her, watched our house. I saw. What happened to Ray? What happened to me? They want the truth buried," Aaliyah said. "No," Malik corrected. They want me buried with it. She leaned forward. We're working on the outside. Your story's spreading, quietly. People are asking questions. But we need more. He nodded. I'll give you more. I just need to get out. The plan took shape slowly, carefully. Jamal, the rookie Malik once mentored, passed along internal movement logs. He worked the motor pool now, gave the prisoner transport van a routine maintenance check that just happened to cause a 5-minute mechanical failure. Aaliyah secured a safe house. A contact owed her a favor. The kind where no questions got asked, and nobody peeked through the curtains. And Malik? He did his part. He waited. He listened. He kept breathing. Because now he had a mission. It happened on a Wednesday morning. Gray skies. Light rain. Perfect cover. Malik was being transferred back to the courthouse for a pretrial hearing. 3 guards. 1 driver. The van made it halfway before the rear brakes, malfunctioned. The driver pulled over near a gas station just long enough. 5 seconds. That's all Malik needed. He hit the lock release, installed by Jamal, and dropped into the ditch behind the van, shackles undone by a smuggled key hidden inside a rolled-up protein bar wrapper. A trick from a guy he used to arrest, back when he still thought rules mattered more than results. By the time anyone noticed, he was gone. Vanishing into Atlanta's sprawl like a shadow in the rain. Aaliyah's car door flew open. Malik jumped in, soaking wet, heart pounding. I can't believe that worked, she said, breathless. I can, he replied, already scanning the street behind them. Now drive. As they pulled away, Malik didn't look back. He couldn't afford to. The safe house was on the edge of the city. Peeling paint, leaky roof, perfect. Malik changed into plain clothes, ate a sandwich in silence. First real food in a week. Later, Aaliyah pulled out her laptop and started laying out what they had. Caldwell's network isn't small, she said. We're looking at judges, prosecutors, senior officers. It's been going on for years, Shro. Paused, then added, and his son's missing, since Catherine's death, like he vanished. They're hiding him, Malik said. Aaliyah nodded. Vanessa Mitchell, Ethan's ex. She was close to Catherine. I think she saw what happened. She's in hiding too. Afraid. She's moved 3 times in 2 months. She's the key, Malik said. If she talks, people listen. I've been tracking her, Aaliyah said, sliding a photo across the table. She's in Tennessee, but not for long. Caldwell's people are looking for her too. Malik didn't hesitate. We find her first. That night, Malik called Tanisha from a prepaid burner phone. It rang twice before her voice answered. Malik? I'm okay, he whispered. I'm out. I'm safe. For now. She was quiet on the line. Then came the sound of her exhale. Zuri's okay. We're at my sister's. I told her you're on a special mission. She's been drawing pictures of you in a superhero cape. Malik chuckled softly, tears burning behind his eyes. I love you, he said. Tell her that. Every day. You tell her, Tanisha replied. When you come back. I will, he promised. But first, I've got work to do. They left for Tennessee just before dawn. Aaliyah drove. Malik stayed low in the back seat, checking maps, reading old case files, memorizing every road out. Along the way, they stopped only for gas and caffeine. Malik barely slept. His mind wouldn't rest. He thought about the girl in the tub, the look on Caldwell's face, the way Derek wouldn't meet his eyes, the silence in the precinct hallway. He thought about all the officers who once said, "We've got your back," and how quickly that promise vanished when the truth got uncomfortable. That night, Aaliyah parked near a diner in a small Tennessee town. Vanessa was inside, serving coffee, wiping counters, trying to live a life far away from the one she'd left behind. Malik waited until her break. He approached carefully, hands visible, voice low. Vanessa Mitchell? She froze, coffee cup halfway to her lips. My name is Malik. I know about Catherine. I know about Ethan. I'm not here to hurt you. She looked around nervously. You're the cop they're looking for. I didn't kill anyone, he said, but they're trying to make sure the ones who did never face justice. Why? Are you here? Because you're the only one left who can speak the truth, he said, and because they're coming for you. So we move. Now. She hesitated, looked back toward the diner, then she nodded. Let's go. But as they stepped outside, a black SUV turned the corner, fast, headlights cutting through the dark. Malik recognized it. Caldwell's people had arrived. Run, he said, and just like that, the chase began. The night swallowed them whole. Malik gripped the wheel of Aaliyah's backup car, sweat running down his back as they tore through the back roads of Tennessee. The headlights from the SUV that had chased them were now distant, but not gone. Vanessa sat beside him, knees pulled up to her chest, breathing fast. They were going to kill me, she said, voice raw, like she was still convincing herself. She'd gotten away. They knew where I worked. They knew everything. They've been watching you for weeks, Malik replied, eyes still scanning the rear view. They don't want you to talk. You know why. Vanessa nodded slowly. Because I saw it. Malik glanced at her. Saw what? The night Catherine died. She didn't speak again until they reached the safe house. An old cabin tucked behind a tree line off a dirt road. Quiet, dark, forgettable. A perfect hiding place. Aaliyah was already there, prepping files, still in her hoodie and jeans, eyes alert. You good? She asked. For now, Malik answered. But we need to talk. Vanessa's ready. They sat around the kitchen table. One dim light hung overhead. Outside, the trees moved in the wind like they were listening. Vanessa's hands shook slightly as she clutched the warm tea Aaliyah handed her. Then she began. I was at Ethan's place that night, she said. Catherine had called me, said she and Ethan were fighting again. He'd relapsed, got aggressive. She sounded scared. Her voice trembled, but she pushed through. I got there and the front door was open. I heard shouting upstairs. When I walked in, Catherine was already gone, on the floor. Ethan was panicking. Captain Caldwell showed up 10 minutes later. And everything changed. She paused. He told me to leave. Said if I stayed, I'd regret it. That it would ruin my life. I was 19. I didn't know what to do. Malik leaned forward. Why didn't you come forward? Because I saw what he did next. He cleaned up the scene. Told Ethan what to say. Removed evidence. Called someone. I don't know who. But by the time I left, the place looked like nothing happened. And the official report said she slipped. Hit her head. Aaliyah was already typing. Can you testify to this? She asked. I will, Vanessa said. They killed Catherine. They almost killed me. I'm done hiding. Malik nodded. Then we get you to the right people. But we do it smart. But why? Next few days were a blur of planning. Aaliyah reached out to her network. A federal prosecutor, one she trusted, agreed to hear Vanessa's statement under protection. Malik stayed hidden. His name was still flashing across news channels as a fugitive, accused of murder, obstruction, even conspiracy against the department. But things were starting to shift. Thanks to Aaliyah's stories, whispers were growing louder. Some officers started to talk. Small leaks, anonymous tips. A few quietly admitted what Malik already knew. Evidence had been tampered with. The internal affairs investigation? A cover? The body cam footage? Doctored. And the judge who signed Malik's arrest warrant? Turns out he used to golf every Thursday with Caldwell. Then came the protests. Small at first, then bigger. Civilians, holding signs outside the precinct. Let the good ones speak. Justice for Catherine. Free Malik Johnson. The story was no longer just about a missing girl or a framed officer. It was about a system that protected itself and punished anyone who challenged it. But Caldwell wasn't sitting still. One night, Aaliyah opened an email from an encrypted source. Attached was a video, Tanisha and Zuri, at home, eating dinner, laughing, filmed from outside their kitchen window. No message, no voice. Just a clear warning. Malik's hands curled into fists. "They're watching my family," he said quietly. "They're trying to control you," Aaliyah replied. "Fear is their only weapon now." He nodded, voice low. "Then let's take that away from them." The plan came together quickly. Step 1. Vanessa would give a live interview, on camera, telling the full truth, not in print, on video. So no one could twist her words. Step 2. Malik would go public. Speak directly to the people, not through police channels. Tell his side. Expose everything. Step 3. Hit them with the proof. Financial records, call logs, photos, everything. But before that, Malik needed insurance, so he contacted someone from the inside. Not Jamal this time, but another officer. One who had seen too much and kept silent. "You don't owe me anything," Malik said over a secure line. "But you know the truth. And when this all falls apart, you'll need to pick a side." There was a pause, then came the reply. "I'm tired of watching good cops get destroyed. I'm in." That night, Vanessa sat in front of the camera. Makeup light, mic clipped to her sweater, Aaliyah behind the lens. Malik off screen. She looked scared, but then she spoke. "My name is Vanessa. I was Catherine Martinez's friend, and I saw what really happened to her." For the next 15 minutes, she laid it bare. Ethan, Caldwell, the cover-up, the threats, her years of silence, and why she wasn't staying quiet anymore. It went live at midnight. By 6 a.m., it had 1 million views. By 9 a.m., officers from 4 precincts had called Aaliyah, asking how they could safely come forward. By noon, the mayor was holding a press conference, announcing a special inquiry into the allegations. That evening, Malik stood at the window of the safe house, staring out at the dark sky. "I think this is working," Aaliyah said behind him. "It's a start," he replied. But Caldwell hasn't made his move yet. He always strikes back. Right on cue, Malik's phone buzzed. An unknown number, a single message. "You want your family safe? Turn yourself in. Alone. Tomorrow. No location. No negotiation. Just one last threat." He stared at the message for a long time, then looked at Aaliyah. "It's time to end this." The morning air felt heavier than usual, like the whole city was holding its breath. Malik stood in front of a mirror inside the safe house bedroom, tightening the belt around his plain jacket. No uniform, no badge, just him now. The burner phone buzzed again. Another message. 1 hour. Warehouse District, come alone. He stared at the words for a long time. They weren't even pretending anymore. No location specifics, no cover story, just a demand. Behind him, Aaliyah was already packing up equipment. She glanced over. "You sure you want to do this?" "I don't want to," he replied, "but I don't have a choice." "They're expecting to kill you," she said plainly. Malik nodded. "Then they'll be surprised." He walked to the kitchen, where Vanessa was sipping tea, nerves tight in her shoulders. She looked up at him. "I'm sorry I didn't say anything sooner," she whispered. "You're saying it now," Malik said. "And that's what matters." She smiled weakly. "You think this is going to work?" "I don't know," he said honestly. "But if it doesn't, I need you and Aaliyah to finish what we started." Vanessa stood, walked over, and hugged him. "For Catherine," she said. Malik held her a second longer than expected. For all of them, he replied. 30 minutes. Later, he arrived. The old warehouse sat at the edge of the rail yards, a relic from a time when the city moved on steel and smoke. Now it was all silence and rust. He stepped into the wide, empty space. The air was cold and damp, filled with the scent of old wood and forgotten sweat. And there they were. Captain Caldwell stood in the center, flanked by two officers Malik didn't recognize. All of them wore plain clothes, but Malik could still see their guns, their vests, their trained stances. Behind them, the worst part, Tanisha and Zuri. His wife's eyes were red, defiant. She wasn't crying. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction. Zuri clutched her mother's hand, confused but quiet. Caldwell stepped forward. "Didn't expect you to actually come," he said, smug. "I always finish what I start," Malik replied. "I gave you every chance, Johnson," Caldwell continued. "You could have looked the other way like the rest of us. You could have had a long, quiet career." "I didn't become a cop to stay quiet," Malik said. "I became one to serve." "You became one to survive," Caldwell snapped. "Like we all did." He pulled a small flash drive from his pocket. "This has everything you want. Records. Names. Payments. You give me your files, your passwords, your contacts, and you walk away. Your wife and kid go free." "And if I don't?" Malik asked. Caldwell's smile faded. "You already know the answer." From a corner of the warehouse, another voice rang out. "That's not going to happen." Everyone turned. Jamal stepped out from the shadows, followed by two others, officers Malik recognized, good ones, quiet ones who had seen too much and said too little. Not anymore. "We're done following you," Jamal said, stepping beside Malik. "We've got feds, listening. News vans outside. You're not in control anymore." Caldwell's face twisted. "You think this means something? You think the city's going to tear itself apart just because a few Boy Scouts got cold feet?" Malik took a step closer. "No, but I think it's going to rebuild itself. Without you." Suddenly, there was motion. One of Caldwell's men reached for his weapon. But Malik was faster. He ducked low, tackled the officer to the ground, disarmed him in one fluid move. Another officer lunged, but Jamal stepped in, taking him down with a single strike to the ribs. Tanisha grabbed Zuri and ducked, behind a crate as chaos erupted. And then, spotlights, voices over megaphones. "This is the FBI. Everyone stand down." Caldwell froze, rage in his eyes. "You called them," he whispered. Malik stood slowly, eyes burning with fury and relief. "No, you did, when you went after my family." Minutes later, the warehouse was surrounded. Federal agents swarmed in, disarming and arresting Caldwell's people. Caldwell himself stood in handcuffs, spitting venom. "You think they'll keep you? The media will turn. The public will forget. You'll be just another headline by next week." Malik didn't answer. He turned and walked toward Tanisha and Zuri. His daughter ran to him like her tiny legs couldn't move fast enough. He scooped her up, holding her tight against his chest. Her arms wrapped around his neck like she never wanted to let go. "I knew you'd come," she whispered. "I'll always come," he said, eyes meeting Tanisha's as she wrapped her arms around both of them. Outside, cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions, but Malik didn't stop. He held his family close and kept walking. Behind him, Vanessa stepped up to the microphones. "My name is Vanessa Mitchell," she said to the world. "And I was there the night Catherine Martinez was murdered. Everything you've heard? It's worse than that. But the truth starts now." That night, Malik sat with his wife and daughter on the floor of a hotel room, eating pizza, laughing for the first time in weeks. He looked over at Tanisha. "You still think this fight's worth it?" She nodded without hesitation. "Every second." Malik smiled, then looked out the window toward the city skyline. Lights still burned, horns still echoed. Life kept moving, but for the first time, it felt like Atlanta was breathing different. Maybe, just maybe, justice was waking up. A full year had passed since Malik walked into that warehouse, willing to risk his life to tell the truth. 12 months since sirens fell silent, voices rose, and a city cracked open, spilling out rot, corruption, secrets, and finally, hope. Atlanta was no longer the same place, and neither was Malik. He stood now at the back of a crowded auditorium, dressed not in handcuffs or borrowed clothes, but in a dark navy uniform. Not the one they'd stripped from him. A new one. Clean. Earned again, pinned above his heart, a captain's badge. A judge spoke at the podium, addressing a class of fresh police graduates, young, nervous, hopeful. "You will enter a department that has been tested," the judge said. "One that has seen its failures exposed, its foundation shaken, and yet, here we stand, rebuilding, because of people like Captain Malik Johnson." A round of applause began. Then it grew, until the room was filled with standing ovation. Malik stayed in the back. He wasn't here for recognition. He was here to watch the new ones rise. Outside, the spring breeze tugged at his jacket as he walked with Tanisha and Zuri through the parking lot. "You looked real serious in there," Tanisha teased, elbowing him. "Had to," he said. "Didn't want to cry in front of my daughter." Zuri laughed, holding his hand. "You didn't cry, Daddy. You just squinted real hard." They walked in silence for a moment. Then Tanisha asked the question that had lingered quietly between them for months. "Do you think it's really over?" Malik stopped. He looked at the sky. The same sky that once watched his fall. The same one that had watched his stand. "No," he said finally. "But I think we're winning now. One honest day at a time." 3 weeks later, Vanessa Mitchell sat in front of a packed courtroom, calm and steady. She told her story again, this time under oath, with the truth finally wrapped in law. Her words didn't just convict Ethan Caldwell and his father. They sparked something deeper. Something viral. Other officers came forward. More victims spoke up. Judges were investigated. Prosecutors replaced. Malik watched from the gallery. He didn't need to speak. His presence said enough. He had survived a system that tried to erase him. And now, he was helping build the one that couldn't. The precinct where it all began looked different now. Same walls, same desks, but a new spirit pulsed through it. Cameras in every room. Open access to the public. A review board that included actual community members. No more sealed records. No more missing reports. And the biggest change? Internal affairs had teeth. Real investigations. Real accountability. Led by Malik. He sat behind a modest desk with a photo of his family beside the computer. Zuri had drawn a picture next to it, a stick figure of him in uniform with a cape. He'd left it up, not because he believed it, but because she did. One morning he got a call, a young officer, nervous, shaky, reporting a senior detective for harassing a witness. "Is it worth the trouble?" the officer asked. "They've been here 20 years. Malik didn't hesitate. "It's always worth it, even if you're alone, especially if you're alone." The officer filed the report. The investigation began. The old rules were dead. Meanwhile, Alia had become the voice of the city's conscience. Her series, Behind the Badge, had earned national attention. It didn't just cover Malik's story. It tracked the system's evolution. The costs, the people, the courage. She didn't call Malik a hero. She called him a mirror, and that made all the difference. One quiet afternoon, Malik took Zuri to the eye. Park. Just the two of them. She ran ahead, arms out like airplane wings. Her laughter carried through the trees. A small boy tripped in the mulch. She stopped, helped him up, dusted his knees. Malik smiled. He'd taught her that, not with words, but with actions. She was learning what it meant to do the right thing. Even when it was hard, she ran back, beaming. "Did you see that, Daddy?" "I did," he said, scooping her up, "and I'm proud." That night, Malik sat on the back porch, Tanisha beside him, stars blinking above. They didn't talk about court cases or corruption. They talked about school lunches, dance recitals, the neighbor's loud dog, normal things, beautiful things. "Do you think the precinct will stay clean?" she asked softly. "No," he said. "Not perfectly, but it won't stay dirty either. Because now, people are watching. People care. Because of you." Malik shook his head. "Because of us. Me. You. Zuri. Aaliyah. Vanessa. Jamal. All of us who refuse to stay quiet." Tanisha leaned her head on his shoulder. "We're tired," she said. "But we're not done," he replied, and that was the truth. The final trial took place on a warm summer day. Judge, jury, cameras. Captain Caldwell sat like a statue, stripped of power, stripped of allies. The jury returned with a unanimous verdict: guilty. Life in prison. No chance for parole. Ethan Caldwell, too, was sentenced, though his plea deal reduced time. Still, his testimony cracked open even more doors. That chapter was over. Malik didn't celebrate, he just exhaled. Like a man who'd been holding his breath for far too long. Months later, Malik stood at the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the new Civilian Oversight Building, a joint initiative between police and the public. He looked out at the crowd. Faces, of all colors, ages, uniforms, plain clothes, survivors, advocates, citizens. Then he stepped to the mic. "I'm not perfect," he said. "I've made mistakes. I've felt anger. I've wanted to walk away more times than I can count." He paused. "But I stayed. Because my daughter deserves better. Because your kids deserve better. Because this city deserves better." He looked up at the building behind him. "And because truth always deserves a place to live." Applause followed. Not wild, not dramatic, just steady, honest. Like the work ahead. That night, Zuri asked him to read her a bedtime story. Instead, he told her one. "Once upon a time," he said, "there was a man who believed the system was broken, and even when everyone told him to stop, he didn't, because he remembered who he was and what he stood for." Zuri blinked sleepily. Was he scared? Every day. But he still did the right thing? He smiled, brushing her curls from her face. "Yeah, baby." He did. And as Malik Johnson sat beside his daughter's bed, he knew that no badge, no trial, no title could define him. Only his actions. Only the truth. Only the legacy he was building. One quiet, honest day at a time. The badge had once been a symbol of silence. Now it was a promise, and Malik Johnson would spend the rest of his life keeping it.